And so we're here to talk about AI in pharma. And actually, the rush of AI in biotech started well before even the Gen AI rush from the past year and the explosion over the past year. We understand the potential to unlock value both in discovering new drugs, driving clinical value, and helping drugs actually come to an endpoint and be able to be administered in patients. And we're just now, and we called this session From Hype to Value, because we are just now at the point where we're starting to see initial points of value within the value chain of bringing computational technologies into drug discovery and development. So that's what we're going to talk about here, as well as where Israel can do better to be able to drive value within the biotech ecosystem. So I want to start with Noam. You built your company, raised significant funding rounds at the height of the hype, and you're now starting to unlock value and actually drive tangible value in companies. So maybe introduce yourself and please give us an example of how you're doing that right now.
Sure. Hey, everyone. And thanks for inviting me to the panel. So about myself, I was very happy to kind of see Peter's presentation because I spent, since I was 14 until 6.5 years ago, about 20 years in academia. So in all the universities like Weizmann, Hebrew U, Tel Aviv, and Ben Gurion. And so I'm a mathematician and computer scientist. That's my background. And so I think we are using AI everywhere, and I think it's important to be cautious in how we are using AI. But it is clear that AI is revolutionizing our world and also soon, hopefully, biotech. Immunai started 6.5 years ago. I think before it was clear that AI was going to take over. At least for some of us it was clear, but for many others it wasn't. And the name suggests that Immunai, we are mapping the immune system with AI. And so the problem that we have realized, much like what Peter mentioned, it takes many years, more than 15 years to develop a drug, but it's not the only problem. It takes more than $2 billion usually, and more than 90% of the development fails. And so what can you do about this problem? And why do we see, despite advances in science and technologies, that the numbers go down? The ROI for the investors here, the return on investment is not going up, it's going down. And our thesis was, and still is, that people respond differently than mice to drugs. And if you want to read out data from how, preclinical models like tumor fragments and mice will respond, you're not going to get very good results. So what then should be the thesis? Our bet is on the immune system. So different patients respond differently because we have different immune systems. We all saw it in COVID. Some people had severe effects and unfortunately died. Some others didn't even feel that they were going, and this is because of our immune system. And similarly, response to cancer treatment, response to autoimmunity treatments, this is about the immune system. So Immunai has been building this map of the immune system with engineering and AI. And our business model is to support companies such as Pfizer and AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson and Amgen and others in their clinical trial design and optimization, trying to reduce the number of years, the amount of money, and hopefully increase probability of success.
And lower the attrition rate, I'm guessing, because we've cured cancer many times in mice, but not yet in people, right? So you've talked about AstraZeneca. You've actually signed a significant deal with them recently, correct?
Yeah, we have been working with the companies that I mentioned over the past 4.5 years. I usually like to say, I'm not sure how many pharma executives are in the audience, but when people congratulate us, it's usually either about the amount of money that we raised or about the pharma work that we are doing. And so I
heard a great quote from you once about how do you dance with a gorilla?
Yeah, so,
however the gorilla wants.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah. So yeah, that's the equation is working with pharma companies like dancing with gorilla, and you dance with the gorilla however way the gorilla wants.
I think then you use some profanity also. Yes.
and it's a challenge, but if you understand the problems, the challenges, and you are gearing yourself to identifying the problems, there is a lot of value to be unlocked. And maybe I'll say one final point. We are helping companies such as AstraZeneca to optimize the clinical trials. And that means to choose the right indications for the immunotherapies that they develop, to choose the right dose, schedule, sequence for the drugs, to choose the optimal combination agents, and to find biomarkers for response, for toxicities. But it's not sparkling an AI magic on top and hoping things are going to be okay. For us, we are building an AI model of the immune system. If you take the word AI, we are building a model of the immune system. So we have been building a map of the immune system with, literally 100 million cells in this map. And we understand the connections between those cells, et cetera. So we have something substantial even before the sophisticated AI that is kind of put on top. And I think that's the point I wanted to say.
So let's go to Karin. And, how is Pfizer looking now at AI?
So first, hi, everyone. And thank you, Mati, for inviting me to lead this session with you. So I'm Karin. I'm leading the external science and innovation at Pfizer, especially in the AI and technology space. I just wanted to start and emphasize something that Noam said. So basically, the value that Immunai is bringing to pharma, just in one sentence, is in addition to identifying subpopulations or the right patients for the right drugs, I think what they're bringing to the table is helping us I'm speaking as all the pharma companies, and reach the FDA packages, which is critical, especially at phase 3. So just something to emphasize.
Thanks, I'll add it to the pitch.
Okay, from AI.
And it's one example of how Pfizer's looking at AI for your global R&D in general.
Right, exactly. So just like on AI at Pharma and Pfizer in general, so I think the hype started at Pharma several years ago, and it was interesting how we were all thinking, are we going to develop this internally, or are we going to bring companies from outside? And we were all looking at AI companies to buy. And then we realized, okay, that's probably not going to work, because then everybody is going to leave after we acquire them. So we started developing our own AI teams in all stages of drug development. So basically, so now we have internal development as well as external development, where my role comes into play, and bringing good partnerships. So what does it mean? So we are looking at first, what are the challenges across the drug development, and how do we bring solutions? So we are focusing on 4 buckets. We are looking at target identification and validation, including prioritization, indication expansion. That's one bucket. Another, what we are looking there right now is mainly on companies that are developing systems like the AI scientists. We are not thinking to replace the scientists, but we are thinking that scientists need these tools in order to be more efficient and do things faster and more accurate, hopefully. So that's one bucket. The other bucket is translational and clinical development, where companies like Immunai and Promise Bio, we recently established under AION Labs that Yifat will talk more about. And then we have additional 2 buckets that are more on the molecule design. So small molecule design has been there for a long time, and we have this big deal with Postera that is also in the public domain, how to identify these small molecules faster and hopefully more accurate, also on the molecular glue side. And the large molecules, with the big hype now with David Baker's Nobel Prize, as well as all the AlphaFold versions that are out there, we are looking at many companies, and also established the Novi under AION Labs, which is very successful. So I'll hand it.
So maybe Yifat, maybe you could talk a little bit about Promise Bio and how it's bringing.
Or the promise of Promise Bio.
Yes.
I'm happy to do so. I'll never, ever let you introduce me again, Mati, but happy to be here. So Promise Bio, the acronym actually is coming from a scientific paper we published, and Promise stands for Protein Modification Integrated Search Engine. And so the idea is to incorporate the level of regulation of what happens to proteins after they have been made into all of the utilities of trying to stratify patients, identifying the correct treatments, and potentially in the future also identify novel drug targets. And this is what Promise Bio is essentially doing with several companies, including Pfizer and others.
Thank you. And so maybe we can move to our investors here, and maybe start from you, Peter. Is AI in biotech real or overhyped? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on your expectation. And if you expect that from one day to the other in clinical development you have 100% success rates, of course, then it's hype. But if you start from the basis that already today across the whole value chain in biotech and pharma, advanced analytic tools are used, AI tools are used, and companies focusing then on specific areas really build on this and further improve, so that maybe not the 100% success rate is achieved, but in terms of speed, quality, and also success rate, we make smaller steps, 10-20% improvements. I think if you start from that basis, then it's not overhyped. And BioGeneration's venture, as one of the venture firms, we are really looking into companies that have a technology platform, often actually enhanced or built on AI, and themselves using these platforms to generate molecules, to generate development candidates, and bring them then into clinical development and prove to the world that their technology, AI-based or AI-enhanced, is really making this difference. I think that's super important, that you are not staying in the design space. You enhance it with the make space, meaning quickly make the predicted compounds, prove preclinically that they work, and then again show it in the clinic.
Yifat, you wanted to add something?
Yes, thank you. Just to comment about the transition from the hype to the value, I think one of the really greatest advantages we have in Israel is the ability to generate new types of data, because AI and machine learning can only be good as the data you generate, and adding more avenues and more aspects of novel data will improve that tremendously and can take us all the way to actually having the assets and the development of the molecules.
So Natanel, thank you for that point. Natanel, you're a tech investor that's also investing in biotech and bioplatforms. How do you evaluate the value of a potential bioplatform when you go to invest in a startup?
Yeah, so just for a little bit of context, our fund has been around since 2014. In 2017, we actually started developing a thesis around investing into healthcare-related companies. And our focus has really been on four prominent areas. So drug discovery platforms, drug delivery, diagnostics, and biotools. So I think the main areas that we look for when evaluating a company is, number one is the team. And number two is data. And the questions are that we always ask is, do these teams combined with the data have an unfair competitive advantage that will allow them to discover novel drugs or compounds in a way that other companies do not have? I've seen the whole cycle of how drug discovery platforms have evolved in AI and sort of where the interest levels have been. When we first started investing, sort of the value was really thought to be in the platform. Today, we're now on sort of a down end of the cycle, and I think the value really is in the actual assets and the drugs that are being developed. And so, the good news is that a lot of companies are developing assets, have proven that their platforms do and are capable of developing assets that pharma is interested in. The bad news is that unless you have that capability and are able to show that you can grow a platform into a system that consistently generates assets, you're not going to be valued just for the platform.
So, but Noam, you're building a platform that can build technologies, raised a lot of money, very, very highly valued by the industry and by investors. So where is the future for AI technologies without developing assets in that sense?
Right. So and I agree with a lot of important points that were raised, but I think it's important to kind of to put on the table the skepticism and the fact that many investors and investment firms are viewing this domain as ultra hyped. And I think this is also why there is a transition from like investing in platform companies that unlock data or unlock signal in the data to saying the only thing we can evaluate is an asset. And the way that you evaluate an asset is by computing the total addressable market, times the probability of success to evaluate the estimated NPV of the asset. The reason why this is so difficult is that if you go into evaluation of all AI in biotech companies right now, how many companies are close to getting the first AI drug approved? And I think this is kind of the problem, but I want to give you a forecast. As an entrepreneur, but also as someone that is seeing how AI is transforming multiple industries, is anyone in this room not believing that by 2035, the drug development industry will have been completely revolutionized by the use not only of AI, but the use of more sophisticated technologies that are also leveraging AI? I hope that the answer that, the vast majority believe that within 10 years we're going to see a different industry. So now the question is, how do you actually become one of the leaders or pioneers of this? When we raised the money 3 or 4 years ago, we were kind of standing on the shoulders of giants. Unfortunately, many of these giants did not, get to live to fulfill their promise, and I hope there is a new generation of companies that will be the giants for 2035. I, genuinely and strongly believe that by building strong engineering stacks and infrastructure and then massively collecting huge amounts of data. And I want to say AMICA, the name of our database. AMICA is the Annotated Multi-Omic Immune Cell Atlas. It's the largest atlas in the world for single-cell immunology, but it has to be 100 times larger. And when we work with Pfizer or AstraZeneca, and they're giving us clinical programs, and we're giving them insights about what they need to do, at the end of the road, they know if we are right or wrong. Mm-hmm. So this is how you actually
That's how you test
value.
It.
Not in a year, not in 2 years. You make, predictions. You give your promises. You under-promise and you over-deliver over time. You create trust, which is consistency over time. Correct. And I think there are going to be additional platform companies that will survive this, difficult era to kind of come up the other side and lead the drug development.
So now we're going to do a quick lightning round. Thank you for that, and bring it home, So Peter, from your experience both at Merck and now at BGV, what advice can you give to Israeli startups that are sitting here and how to approach investors?
I would say know your field, as always, and clearly show that, yes, you have a vision, and the vision, I think, is right, that AI will revolutionize biopharmaceutical R&D. But what is your contribution, how you can show it within the investment horizon, which is usually 2-3 years, we have to be honest.
Thank you.
There you have to show.
And Natanel, what can Israeli startups do to be more compelling for U.S. investors?
So what I see a lot of really, really bright founders. I think the missing aspect of many of the pitches are how do you actually turn the platform that you're building into an asset in a relatively quick period of time. And just thinking through that vision and explaining that in an actual pitch, I think will go a long way.
Excellent. And Yifat, what can we do better in Israel to get a small topic, right? To get the best science into great startups.
So follow up on what Natanel said is like changing the scientific culture, academic culture to start from the end, to understand the proposition value and start of thinking about when you make a new discovery, how it will be effective and to what population, how to translate it. And what Peter mentioned, which is more collaboration, more synergism within the realm of Israel, both academics and industry.
And Noam, in addition to Immunai, will we have 3 to 5 great biotech startups in Israel within 10 years?
Yes, and my request is we have a potential here in Israel, which is why many pharma companies are coming here. It's not just for the love of the country. We have an amazing public healthcare system. Like the best hospitals in the world are here. We have great universities and academics. I think we have the best engineering talent in the world.
Yes, we do.
What we need to tell to young founders is that if everybody goes left, go right. We have to find our own niche. Let's not try to recreate what is now the biggest hype. Everybody's now doing foundation
Don't just
model.
do Me Too on Boston.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's
Be your own thing, and we are going to see more successful startups in the next few years.
And Karin, what should we do here in Israel to generate more value here?
I moved back to Israel 4 years ago, and I was amazed by the biotech ecosystem and how we are combining the amazing data that we have on the medical side because of to Noam's point, so the amazing healthcare system, what does it mean? So we have the closed loop of the physicians, so the medical providers and the insurance companies, and this on the data side, and on the AI side, we have also, to Noam's and the others' point, all the technology that is coming either from the army or from the high tech, and that's together with the amazing research coming from the academia. So we basically have it all. So what can we do better? I think, to everybody's point, to generate assets, and asset doesn't necessarily mean molecules. Asset means even proprietary data, or to Yifat's point, our ability to generate new data that can provide new insights. And to my point about Immunai earlier, even to make the FDA packages stronger, it has so much value for pharma company and saving so much money, and basically saving also the molecules that are due to fail. So
thank you, Karin, and I'll just say it's amazing to see the absolute entrepreneurial spirit of Israelis, especially over the last 3 years, that we built IAON Labs and built 8 startups, but even over the last year and a half, with all the tough times we've been through, we've actually built 8 new startups or raised seed rounds for startups that were built before that. And to Peter's point before, to Peter Cash's point before, we just launched yesterday the opportunity to build our next startup, which will be in drug combinations. So that's an opportunity and an offer to anyone that wants to build a startup with us to come reach out to us. We'll be here at the brink. And thank you again to the organizers, and thank you to our amazing panelists. Thank you very much.